Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Allincrypto here, and today we are going to be covering Algorand, and it would be nothing short of rude not to, after the announcement that we had yesterday at Token 2049 in Singapore, made by none other than John Wood, somebody we've interviewed a couple of times on this channel, who of course is the CTO at the Algorand Foundation. And this announcement, which we're going to dive into in just a second, we're going to play the clip of the actual announcement, and then there was another announcement after this announcement, which we'll also cover. But it was an announcement that I was exceptionally happy to see. You know, I am an Algorand holder. You know, we got back into Algorand this year, having sold it before the majority of downside in 2022. And it's been my worst performing cryptocurrency. However, we still think Algorand is going to do very well eventually. And the announcement that we got yesterday could be a big part in that. So we're going to be going over that. We did write an article on this at allincrypto.com yesterday. We were probably the first news outlet to even cover this, literally minutes off of the tongue of John Wood in regards to the announcement. So if you guys want to go and check out our website, allincrypto.com, please do so. You know, a lot of big media outlets out there, they don't really cover projects like Algorand and many of the others we cover on the channel. So we really are bridging that gap. But let's get into the announcement. Let's not waste any more time. And then we'll look at Algorand from a price point of view. We'll look at fundamentally why this changes Algorand, why it's a good thing or why it's a bad thing. And then we'll be offering some constructive criticism towards Algorand that you guys can tell me whether you agree with me on or you don't in the comment section. So yesterday at the Token 2049 event in Singapore, John Wood made an announcement that through Algorand's Algo kit, developers would now be able to deploy smart contracts and develop on Algorand's layer 1 with pure Python as a language, which is huge, and we'll explain why after the announcement. Let's get into it, guys.
So with AlgoKit 2.0, we're bringing pure Python development to Algorand. And what this is going to allow you to do is to build applications for Algorand's layer 1 in real Python without concession. So this is not going to be a weird syntactic variant on Python, actual Python. And you'll even be able to do line-by-line debugging. And so this brings a huge change in terms of the inclusivity for Algorand. So everyone from kids in university who are learning prototyping in Python for the first time, all the way to, of course, the hot topic at the moment, the ML AI guys who all build in frameworks around Python. Everyone will have the knowledge to deploy contracts on Algorand. And so this is a significant change in how easy it's going to be to build and how inclusive Algorand is.
It's massive, the announcement, in fact, because one thing that Algorand, I feel, personally suffers from, and let me know in the comment section if you think this is wrong, but having compared it to other ecosystems, I feel it suffers as an ecosystem from developers and also community. It has a smaller community. I think the community that's there, that I'm a part of, by the way, guys, so this isn't hate or shade, is smaller compared to others, and this has a lot to do, I think, with development. And the resources that the community is given. I don't particularly think that Algorand has one of the better UIs for users. I think there's a lot of room for improvement there, and I'd like to see that improved. And I also think that its developer experience, albeit good, can be improved. And actually, with them now enabling for pure Python to be a developer language, this is huge because, as John Wood said, it includes everyone, basically. Python is the widest used language. Currently, you use an AVM, the Algorand virtual machine, obviously named after Ethereum's virtual machine, to build. And the Algo toolkit is streamlining a lot of this. And we'll just quickly go over to John Wood's comments on this. Think about this. Now, everyone who is familiar with Python, students, hobbyists, beginners, MLAA, AI, engineers, data scientists can build on Algorand without training, and enterprise, their existing team now have all the knowledge they need to build great apps on Algorand. And Algorand is in desperate need of applications, ladies and gentlemen. It's got some good ones here. Not sure what actually happened with Yieldly, and there was a number of others that actually dropped out. But this is a massive announcement and really one thing that it's going to do, we now go over to my website, allincrypto.com, and we look at the article that we published yesterday. You know, the Algorand toolkit serves as a predominant tool employed by the Algorand community for crafting smart contracts on the Algorand blockchain. It furnishes the functionality needed to create, experiment with and deploy Algorand smart contracts in a matter of minutes. You know, it really is a huge deal. You can see John Wood reiterating this, and ultimately it's going to open up the floodgates for developers and thus users and demand for Algorand. It really is a big, big deal, ladies and gentlemen. And Algorand, you know, is, as the layer one goes, one of the most impressive in terms of capabilities blockchains that there are. Okay. It does have some pretty significant partnerships. It's already running CBDCs in certain areas. And, you know, we know that it's got a lot of institutional grade partnerships, but where they almost lack a little bit is with the kind of retail side of things, which I think John Wood has been a really good thing for Algorand, and he's really trying to push and further that. Hopefully we can have John Wood back on the show very, very soon. Let's dive into the second announcement that was made. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll maybe give some constructive criticism in regards to directions that we'd like to see Algorand go. Let's get into that clip, ladies and gents.
And so we're moving away from this relay style network to a gossip or peer-to-peer style network using lib peer-to-peer. And so what will happen is we will be increasing the number of consensus nodes that are in the network. We'll be deprecating the relays, and all of the data transmission or data propagation will occur right through a peer-to-peer gossip-based network, not requiring any relays. And we're going to make sure that we do that in a way that doesn't affect our finality, of course, at the heart of the consensus, nor the current block time, which is about 3.3 seconds. Also, another major tectonic shift in Algorand's vision is that we're going to start incentivizing consensus. A lot of folks are maybe unaware, I know I was when I first started looking at Algorand, that block production on Algorand is not rewarded the way it is on Ethereum, Cardano, Bitcoin, etc. And so, to go hand in hand with our peer-to-peer gossip-based network, we're going to be incentivizing consensus. And so this has a number of impacts. Number one, it increases the number of channels for data propagation from peer-to-peer. And most critically, number two, it will see a massive surge in the amount of algo that's being staked when individuals who have maybe smaller positions are together forming a large mass that's securing the network. So I'm particularly looking forward to moving forward with.
Very interesting. They were both huge announcements. I'm not sure which one's bigger, because again, many people still don't know this. You're not rewarded for consenting the network. You now will be, and maybe we look to step into the node game for Algorand. We've already run a node for Cardano and to help run the consensus. And we actively watch a lot of on-chain analytics on a number of other chains. So maybe that's something we step into, and that's going to be huge because it means you guys are going to get rewarded. There's going to be incentives for you guys to stake. It's going to really up the stake, up the participation rate. At the same time, you're going to get developers coming online, coming on board, and looking to build and play around and facilitate certain things on Algorand. It really was a huge announcement, and nothing short, in my opinion, of a great day for the Algorand community and the holders. You know, my criticisms against Algorand really are, I think the UI is lackluster and could do with quite a bit of improvement for the people who want to use Algorand. I think development on Algorand is a lot slower than other chains, and there's a lot less happening. And I think the consensus mechanism doesn't quite reward people in the way that perhaps it should for partaking in it. Those three things that are mainly my gripes. Basically, there's a path and a solution to all of them that's coming very soon. You know, we're going to get the pure Python in Q4. The consensus mechanism is now sort of shifting and becoming more rewarding, and that's going to increase incentives to actually take part in it. And overall, we think, again, great announcements from John Wood, great announcements for Algorand as a whole, and ones we're very excited to see implemented. Just a little bit on Algorand's price. I get asked about Algorand all the time. This is not far off bottoming at all, in my opinion. Okay, now we have already had an attempt at calling the bottom here, which was round about here and here. And of course, it's drifted down significantly since then. So this is by far our worst performing altcoin. Algorand does typically bottom out after the rest of the market. You know, if you look at Bitcoin, for example, using a very quick example, you know, it had kind of started to recover a lot sooner than Algorand when Algorand was still messing around with lows. It did it in the last cycle. It's likely going to do it in this one. But it will get going. And I think that a lot of what the SEC has had to say has hindered Algorand. However, we've seen a lot of clarity on their crusade recently. And the main reason that Algorand sells off in this fashion and can't seem to find strength, again, comes back to community, in my opinion, and comes back to interest, because I think there's other interest in regards to buyers, more so with other altcoins. Algorand probably is less on that scale. And you've got to remember that there's a lot of Algorand getting sold to fund lots of different things, whether that's from different, you know, I don't want to name any institutions or whatever that are associated with it. So Algorand will turn around. It needs that sentiment shift. That may be coming with the new, with the announcements, but we will see. And of course, on this channel, we'll keep you up to date on Algorand, not only via the channel, but also now via our very own website. And on that note, guys, I'm going to love and leave you. Let me know what you thought about the announcements, good, bad, or ugly. And let me know what you think about the criticisms that I have. Do you agree that the UI is somewhat cumbersome compared to other chains? It's very fast to use, by the way. It's a lot faster than many other chains and cheaper. And do you also agree that it's lacking on the development side of things, and sort of there needs to be more orientation around the community, I think, also. All I've got for you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next.